Hello, I'm Chris Fisher, a partner in the Employment and Benefits Group here at Mayer Brown. In this video, I'm going to take a couple of minutes to highlight very briefly what we see as the key issues for employers to be considering as regards their workforce in the face of Brexit. In the run-up to the vote, the Leave campaign were adamant that Brexit would have a very negative effect on laws protecting employees. Indeed, one politician predicted a bonfire of workers' rights. So I think the first and in some ways the most obvious step for employers is to reassure their workforce that for the time being nothing is changing. The exit process is likely to take at least 2 years. In terms of what might change, it is true that a significant proportion of our UK employment law comes from the EU. For example, family leave, working time law, discrimination law, collective consultation obligations, laws relating to business transfers and agency worker regulations. But there are two reasons why I think it is unlikely that these laws will simply disappear when Brexit takes effect. The first is that the terms of the withdrawal agreement that the UK enters into may include a requirement that we continue to abide by EU labour laws. That will certainly be the case if we adopt what is known as the Norwegian model, which would see the UK become a member of the EEA. The second reason is that even if we do have scope to repeal EU-derived employment law, many of these laws have been part of the employment law landscape in the UK for a long time and are viewed as good laws. It seems unlikely any UK government would want to be seen to be scrapping fundamental employee protections such as discrimination rights, family leave or working time rules. What's more likely, I think, is that if the UK has the chance to do so, it will remove or amend some of the less popular aspects of these laws. For example, in relation to working time and holidays, the fact that holiday continues to accrue while an employee is off sick is generally unpopular with business. Equally, the cap on maximum weekly working hours, which is currently set at 48, could be revisited or even removed. And the agency worker law introduced not long ago is generally unpopular due to its complexity and so might be one to be dropped altogether. Lastly, I should mention what is perhaps the most obvious likely impact on workers, and that is immigration. For now, and at least for the next 2 years, the free movement of workers around the EU remains. It is this fundamental principle of the EU treaty that currently allows British employers to hire workers from anywhere in the EU to work in the UK, and conversely, to have British citizens working in any other EU country. There is no requirement for work permits. Now again, depending on what the model that we end up with as our result of our withdrawal negotiations, it may be that free movement of workers remains the case. But if free movement does disappear, what will replace it remains to be seen. The Leave campaign indicated that it favoured a points-based work permit system similar to the one currently applied to non-EU nationals looking to come and work in the UK. For the time being, some businesses are mapping out the demographic of their workforce to understand how many British citizens they have working elsewhere in Europe or EU nationals working in the UK. They can then consider, for example, whether any of these individuals might be able to apply for permanent residency, which is possible if they've been working in the country in question for 5 years or more. For others, where that's not likely to be an option, employers can start to formulate a plan for what they will do if and when those individuals become subject to work permit requirements, or ultimately are required to return to their home countries. As with most aspects of Brexit, the true impact for employees will take some time to become clear, but there are some steps that can be taken now, such as mapping out the employee demographic and, first and foremost, giving reassurance that for now at least, the position remains the same for employees.